Шановні друзі,
Dear friends, this is what Bakhmut looks like now. The Bakhmut is standing, Bakhmut is holding on. Bakhmut is Ukraine and this is not Artemivsk.
The battles for Bakhmut have been going on for several months now. They began after the Ukrainian troops left Popasna, Lysychansk and Severodonetsk in late spring, early summer. However, in recent weeks, hostilities have become even more intense, Ukrainian servicemen say.
Идет такая тактика.
There is such a Russian tactic. If they cannot break through, they will bombard everything to the ground. No weapon, less than 120mm mortar, was used against us.
Despite the strong resistance of the armed forces of Ukraine, the Russian invaders want to capture Bakhmut with all possible forces. This is how they will be able to demonstrate at least some success, the Ukrainian military command believes.
Bakhmut has no strategic importance in military terms, but at the same time it has psychological significance. Because after a series of losses that the enemy suffered in Kherson region and before that in the Kharkiv region and Liman, this one could be symbolic for them. Therefore, Russia is trying to capture the city, break through the defenses and thus motivate its personnel, raise at the level of their morale and psychological state in any way. Alexander Syrsky, commander of the ground forces of the armed forces of Ukraine, on the air of the Ukrainian national telethon.
At the same time, the capture of Bakhmut is important not only for raising the Russian army's morale, but also for moving deeper into the Donetsk region, if this is still in the plans of the occupiers, military experts say.
для них уже нереализуем.
For Russian occupiers, Bakhmut is very important, at least in the perspective of further advancement. If there are plans for further occupation of Ukraine, especially after they shamefully lost the Kharkiv region and Izium. Earlier, Izium was the main placdarm for the concentration of forces and means of Russian invaders, which could be sent to Sovyansk and Kramatorsk later, and now they have lost any hope in this regard. But there is still a hope that they will be able to capture Bakhmut. But again, their forces and means are not enough for this kind of operation.
According to the information of the Ukrainian military, at least 6 dates have been already set when the Russian invaders had to occupy the city, but each time the soldiers of the Ukrainian army successfully pushed back the occupiers. And the Russian invaders demonstrate very poor military training, in addition to suffering huge losses, the fighters themselves say.
They even have snipers of a bad level of training. They crawl around the city in camouflage suits, enter the building. Then I look through the optics of my gun, and there is just a bush in front of me in the building.
Ukrainian military personnel, on the contrary, are mastering Western weapons in record time and demonstrating victories on the battlefield. One of the most significant victories in recent times is the liberation of Kherson from Russian occupation. The city has been back under Ukrainian control for a month now. Local residents are grateful to the Ukrainian military and wish them to liberate other temporarily occupied territories. Ukraine will win and survive all this. Everything will be Ukraine. Everything will be fine. Our soldiers will win. The armed forces of Ukraine should only keep advancing and let them crush those bastards for everything they're doing against us. Ukrainians have supported the armed forces of Ukraine like never before since the beginning of the full-scale Russian invasion. 96% trust them fully or partially. This is the data of the Razumkov Center opinion poll for October. It is curious that 2 years ago, the level of public confidence in the army was at the level of 70%, and the current commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Ukraine, Valery Zaluzhny, has entered the top 10 outstanding Ukrainians of all time this year. The list was published by the sociological group Rating. According to polls, the most prominent Ukrainian was the writer Taras Shevchenko, and in the second place was President Volodymyr Zelensky. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Faina Vasilenko, UATV News.